everybody. Welcome back. This is Alia, and you're listening to What's Wellness, a podcast that focuses on the holistic view of wellness as it pertains to all aspects of our life. Not only human life, but also the wellness and the life of our living planet, the big and the small creatures all around us. And today I'm going to talk all about mental and emotional health specifically. This is a really important topic of conversation specifically right now in this present moment because of all that we're going through with COVID-19. But it's also in general a really important topic, mental and emotional health. So I want to go at it from a couple of different angles. Many of you know that I'm a yoga teacher. I also lead yoga teacher trainings. I wrote a curriculum, a 200-hour program, Alia Yoga Academy teacher training. And one of my favorite topics in the training is all about energy. And in yoga philosophy, we have 5 bodies. They're called the koshas in Sanskrit. And the 5 koshas are made up of increasingly subtler energies. So if you're interested in living a balanced life, if your goal is to create more wellness and more than just your physical body needs attention, all 5 bodies need to be cared for and kept healthy and well. Of course, the physical body is the most dense, and that's going to be your first kosha. There's 2 parts, the external body, which is what is visible and tangible, what you can see and feel, your skin and facial features, your height and weight. And then there's the internal body, which is not visible and functions without being seen. You don't need to do anything for your joints to function, the systems of your body. This is the internal body. And aside from the physical, there are 4 other bodies to be aware of. The energy body, which is the bioenergetic frequencies which everything alive emits, including the planet. Mother Earth is alive. And speaking of the planet, yesterday was Earth Day, a good reminder that we are all made up of elements that our living planet is also made up of. We are nature, and we have a responsibility to live in harmony and tuned into the sustainable nature of our planet. It provides so much for us that we take for granted, but let every day be Earth Day and a celebration of the very home that we all exist on and share. Next is the 3rd kosha, the emotional body, representing how you perceive the world around you and react or behave in certain situations. This body acts as a filter, and it also absorbs or deflects your emotions. The emotional body is very closely connected with the 4th body, the mental body. Because we use our mental faculties to process our emotions, it is through the lens of which we perceive life that we are all able to make sense or not make sense of our emotional states and to achieve a level of emotional intelligence and well-being. So with the 4th body being the mental body, this is the fluctuations of the mind and the ability to manifest that into reality. That when you think of something, you have a perspective. It's very common to be able to prove yourself right based on the energetic frequency that your thoughts are putting out there and then attracting the same frequency back to you. It's also the development of your insight and your awareness. It's the connection of yourself with your higher self and with the divine, a connection of yourself with all of creation, all living things, again, including our living, breathing planet from the intellectual and consciousness standpoint. So again, you all have these 5 bodies. They're called koshas in Sanskrit. It means sheath in English, and each one has a definite purpose and a reason for being. We go deep into the 5 koshas in yoga teacher training, but specifically today I want to focus on your mental and emotional bodies. Your mental body in Sanskrit is called Vijnanamaya kosha, and it's diving underneath the sea of feelings that live in your emotional body. And then you reach the wisdom body of the 4th kosha of your mind, and it's here that you develop awareness and insight and consciousness. Emotions, if they're left unchecked by your awareness, they can become destructive. Meaning, if you don't pause and sit with how you're feeling and use your conscious awareness, your intellect to process that experience, then suffering occurs. And attachment to these feelings that are left unchecked cause a lot of suffering in our society today. So when your awareness of your mental body illuminates your deeper desires, your feelings, your emotional body, and your motivation behind it, it allows you to see the choices that you have, the opportunity for your perspective to shift at any point in time. Instead of simply feeling or acting, you choose to feel or act with intention. I liken it to the idea of responding rather than reacting. You process and articulate how you're feeling and allow your mind to shift back into a place of peace. So when I come back, we'll talk more about this topic, dive a little bit deeper into your emotional and mental well-being, and I'll give you some tangible tips and tools so that you can start a practice today. Hi, friends and listeners. Do you want to start a podcast but not sure where to begin? That's exactly how I felt until I heard about Anchor on another podcast that I listened to. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain why. First of all, it's free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. That's what I do. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and many other platforms. You can make money from using your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place, and it's easy. If you need any help, just let me know. All you need to do first is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm, and everything you need to get your podcast going is right there. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. I really want to drive home this concept that wellness goes beyond the physical body, and it's important to foster a relationship with the 5 koshas so that you can integrate wellness into all aspects of your life, from the physical to the energetic, the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of your body. You have these 5 sheaths that all contribute to your overall well-being. And specifically when it comes to emotional and mental health, there's so much stimulation, there's so much going on in our society today that can keep us out of the present moment. So a couple of suggestions that I have are to really focus on what is happening right now, especially when you start to feel anxiety or the blues come in. It's really important to focus and take a step back to notice what's going on in this moment. So when you check in, perhaps you're feeling this way while working from home. Perhaps you have your children all around you without them going to school right now. And that can be a bit overwhelming. But when you take a step back and really think about what's happening in this moment, you recognize this beautiful opportunity to spend more time with your kids, even if they're driving you nuts right now, or to work from home and have more space for your physical body to maybe rest a little bit or heal, repair, and recover. Perhaps you're taking care of loved ones, and there's this beautiful blessing that it is to have the ability to be with them right now. Or maybe you're feeling really isolated and you're having to spend a lot of time alone by yourself, but you have a roof over your head and you have clothes on your back. And in this moment, maybe you have a coffee or a tea, your snack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, at least the ability to provide food for yourself, and you have access to clean water. And so for me, when I take a step back and focus on what is present in the very moment, when I'm overwhelmed with a sense of what's going on in the world, I take a step back and appreciate what's happening, because even though I can also wallow in what's not going right at times, what's not feeling well, what hurts in my body or what's bothering me, sometimes I feel frustrated, but after I take a moment to pause and check in with how I'm feeling, it's pretty quick for me to then change gears or switch modes to first acknowledge those feelings and the reason why I'm feeling that way, and then have appreciation for the full spectrum, the range of human emotions, because in the past I wasn't fully able to feel my feelings or identify and specifically express my emotions. It took a lot of inward focus. In Sanskrit and yoga philosophy, this is called svadhyaya. It means self-study. And through years of svadhyaya, I was finally able to develop this skill and strengthen this muscle of first processing an emotion, being able to unpack and identify, express how I'm feeling, which is really important. And then all aspects of emotional wellness include this concept of articulating your feelings. And if it's not to a person, then perhaps to a journal, or speak into your phone, or maybe start a podcast. This is really helping me to unpack what's going on in my brain and my consciousness and share what's going on for you. After you've unpacked these emotions and expressed how you feel, it's then really important to be able to let go. It's like changing the channel on the TV or moving through Instagram. If you can change the channel on TV, then you can change the channel in your mind. Maybe try a meditation practice. Start to learn how to drop into your body rather than always existing in your mind. Maybe there are people that you know or that follow you online that are making you feel a sense of competition or just negativity, not so great about yourself. You have permission to unsubscribe, unfriend, unfollow, mute, block, walk away, and then take a deep breath. Take a breath into the space that you have just created. It's amazingly empowering to set boundaries and also make space for yourself, your health, and your well-being. For me, it's really important. I never want people to follow me online or listen to my podcast out of obligation. I really, truly care about people and about sharing a positive message, being uplifting and inspiring. But if I'm not that to you, then I'd rather you'd make the space, unfriend, unfollow, go find something or someone else to lift you up, to bring positivity and inspiration into your day. And in this moment, it's important to remember that whatever it is that you're going through, yes, it's happening. Yes, it might be challenging and difficult, but you will get through it. Time heals everything. And the more focus and energy that you give to a specific problem, the more that problem seems to grow and the more it can create suffering in your life. So here's a reminder to focus more on your breath and less on your problems. That being said, if you're someone who cares deeply and worry, that makes you human, and having those feelings are not inherently bad. But when they take over the thoughts in your mind, that's when you come up with some challenges or suffering can occur. So sometimes all you can do is breathe and tell yourself to let go. And in those few seconds, let it change for you. Let a shift happen. Wait until you feel that shift occur. Let your entire perspective change with your awareness. And if that means you need a day or time to yourself, maybe some extra slowness, some extra care, a bath or a nap or restorative yoga or journal, write your feelings. Do what you need, and remember that you have exactly enough energy for one day at a time. So focus on one day, one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. A couple of quotes that I've seen that have really inspired me. Even in your brokenness, you are perfect. And even in your darkness, you are light. A reminder that on a daily basis, whether it's filling up with your Instagram feed with mental health memes That's always helpful, brighten your day, or people who come on live online and share a positive message or inspiring notes. It's because when we're in a dark time, it's very easy to see acts of self-care as overrated, and self-care can look a lot of different ways. So perhaps you feel into your emotional body with some restorative yoga, or my suggestion to have a journal or a notebook. Doesn't have to be something fancy. You can use one you already have, or get something new that really lights you up and inspires you just by looking at it. And write in your notebook or your journal. Be so honest with yourself. How do you feel? What's going on for you? And let your mind empty out onto the pages. After 5, 10, 15 minutes or whatever it takes of free writing without censoring yourself, once you've emptied your thoughts onto the page, once clarity comes or a sense of weight has been lifted off your shoulders, then set it down and be done with it. It's there if you ever needed to be reminded of how something made you feel or what thoughts came up for you when you were in that moment. But I know it's common to have the tendency to dwell on the same thoughts over and over. So let yourself have the freedom to express what's going on in your mind and give yourself the opportunity to fully release those thoughts and feelings, so that you can move on to something else and create that space to continue forward. On that note, one thing comes to mind, which is to practice compassion for yourself. It's so easy to be self-critical. Trust me, I can be so judgmental of myself. But the real work is in the compassion for what you're going through. For my experience in life, tough love only got me so far. Tender, compassionate, accepting, encouraging love, forgiving love, that's what will bring this planet to know peace. And it's an inside job, and it starts with directing that energy towards yourself. Some prompts or questions for you to ask yourself, some tangible takeaways. Or you can offer these prompts to someone else in your life that you know may be struggling at this time. Ask, how are you doing and what do you need? How are you doing and what do you need? These are deceptively simple questions, but they can really support your mental and emotional healing and well-being. And when you ask yourself or when you ask someone else how you're doing, I get a lot. I'm fine. How are you? I'm good, thanks. What about you? But take it a little bit deeper, especially if someone asks you this question. Share from a vulnerable place, from an authentic place, and offer what it is that you may need at that time, or ask someone what do they need to feel supported. And how can you feel supported right now to keep doing your best and to keep moving forward? Because there is an added stress, especially with what's happening in our country, in our world, from the economic standpoint and also political. And so being able to identify your feelings and then identify what it is that you need is pretty powerful. And going out in nature, that may be a great way to let go, get some fresh air, and receive some clarity or a new perspective. And maybe you can dance around your house and shake your body and move stagnant energy. It feels so good. Is it possible also that you could carve out time for a nap or a gentle stretch today? The first step is to identify what it is that you're feeling and where those thoughts are getting stuck in a negative pattern. And then what it is that you need to do to move and clear out and make space. And whatever your intuition is guiding you towards to clear out any mental clutter, if it's having a lot of reoccurring thoughts going on in your mind, then take this time to notice those thoughts and notice this tape player that is on repeat. Bring your awareness to where your mind goes and gets stuck in. And then once you have that observation, that awareness, change the channel. You can very specifically attune your awareness to something else. You're in charge and in control. Access that. Put one foot in front of the other for your mental health and change the pattern of the thoughts in your mind. Remember that every single person on this planet has a story. More than likely, their story could break your heart or even bring you to your knees. Everyone's going through something. As Brené Brown says, nobody rides for free. So just be aware that we're all going through difficult things. We may not know one another's story, especially behind a smiling face. There are struggles and ups and downs with everyday life, but that is very specifically, in my opinion, what life is. It's highs and lows and everything in between. In teacher training, I'll make a graph where you see the peaks and the valleys, the highs and the lows of life. And I'll ask my teachers in training, what does this graph remind you of? And anyone who's been in the hospital or gone to visit someone there has seen the machine that shows a very dynamic graph of highs and lows, the peaks and valleys. That is the measurement of one's heart rate. When you're connected to a machine that detects your heart rate, there's highs and lows. And of course, if that line goes flat, if it's a horizontal straight line, I'm sorry to say it means that that person is dead. And so what's important to take away from that metaphor is life is all about the highs and lows. And to not be attached to the outcome, to expect everything to change and change again. And so when we attach and really focus on what's not going well, those pits or lows in life keep us stuck, and it's easy to perpetuate our own misery because of the vicious cycle that goes on inside of the consciousness or even deeper in one's subconscious. But if we have eyes and hearts that are open, if we can open our mind and awareness, that are open to the light at the end of the tunnel, to remember that this too shall pass. The only constant is change, and we take charge, decrease attachments, and therefore decrease suffering. A few takeaways: remember to check in with yourself and check in with your loved ones, your friends, family, community, and coworkers. Share with the people you love that you love them, and show yourself love as well through compassion and acceptance, patience, and non-judgment. Set a daily reminder for yourself, and perhaps you share with others that yes, this is happening. It may be challenging, but you will get through it. Eventually, everything will change once again. So keep that in mind. And let me know if there are any ways that I can help support you, especially if you're having any challenges right now with mental or emotional well-being, in shifting your awareness towards what's going on that's well, what's working and positive in your life. I'd be more than happy, honored to connect with you and be of some service. I'm Alia, and I changed my Instagram. It was at Tandem Surf Yogini, and now it's at Alia Yoga. It's also my email, you guessed it, alia@aliayoga.com, spelled AHLIA. Thank you so much for listening to What's Wellness. If you have any requests for future episodes, please send them at your girl. And if you'd like to be interviewed on this podcast, I'd also love to hear from you and connect. Hope you are taking care of yourselves and one another. One thing I'm really grateful for right now is a meditation practice. Taking some time to turn inwards, even 5 minutes, to clear my mind and let go of my negative thought patterns and to tune into my breath and my body. I also take that time to really identify what's going on in my mind and to let go of what's no longer serving me, become really, really present in the moment and create space for what it is that I want to create in my life. I'll be back next week on Thursday with a brand new episode for you. Thanks again so much for listening.